Our sixth presentation will be the public library. Moderator would like to recognize the library director, Ms. Deb Grimmett.
Okay, this thing is problematic.
Little help. There you go. See, the DPW fixes everything.
Thank you very much. Those of you who remember me from Story Hour when you were little or your kids were little will probably realize that I probably don't need the mic. I will not make you do head, shoulders, knees, and toes tonight. That being said, the library number is small. It's $13,964. I'd like to start out by pointing out that according to the state's Division of Local Services, which is part of the Department of Revenue, the library's total budget is 0.93% of the town's budget. So $13,964 is quite a bit when you are looking at a very small budget. The library budget is $672 and change. We will not be losing staffing. I want to make that very clear. We talked about that, the Board of Library Trustees and I, and we opted to go in a different direction. So what we are looking at is the things that all of you enjoy from the library. The cut came from the book budget. Now, libraries have many state rules. The Finance Committee is well aware that I could talk for several hours about the parameters for library state aid. I won't. Beyond saying we have a required amount of money, it's 15% of the total amount of money that the town appropriates that must be spent on materials. The good news is it does not have to come totally from the town budget. So we will be looking at other sources, including library state aid, to make up the funding. When we do that, we kick off a domino effect. We use library state aid for things like technology. Your public library does not have a line for physical technology. If you come into the library and use a computer, it was purchased primarily from state aid. So if we are spending more money on books from state aid, that's less money for technology. We use state aid for programming. We do not have a programming budget. The town does not provide programming other than staffing for librarian salaries who do programming. So we are looking at a domino effect of as we move off into state aid. Another thing to consider is that state aid is precarious. This year's budget includes a slight increase in local aid. We received about $50,000 last year in state aid. We must stay certified to do that, so that means, again, lots of math, but our budget needs to be above a certain amount of money, which is the prior 3 years of our budget added up, divided by 3 and multiplied by 1.025, which is 2.5%. The level funded budget keeps us above that line slightly. So we are not in danger of losing certification with the level funded budget. I want to be clear about that too. That being said, we will need to work with a level funded budget on making sure that we spend appropriately on books and library materials, and that includes ebooks. I see a lot of you that I know are using the library, but you don't come in, and that's because you're borrowing ebooks. Ebooks are not cheap. They're expensive. And we have, last time I checked, on a new bestseller, we currently have 27 people waiting for an ebook. Your library is heavily used. We provide support services for the schools in terms of our children's librarian visiting classes once a month in kindergarten and pre-K. And every class in kindergarten in May, we're looking forward to that, grades 1, 2, 3, and 5 visit the library once a year. So those are the services we provide. Those that we are not looking at cutting school services, but we are going to need to do some work to make up for materials expenditures and for other types of programming. Trustees have not decided whether or not we would have a reduction in hours. If we do, it won't be much because, again, state regulations, for our population size, we have to be open 50 hours a week between Labor Day and Memorial Day. We're open 53 and a half. We don't have a lot to play with. The only other point I want to address is one that I have gotten questions about, and Mr. Moderator, if you will allow me a moment's leeway, library certification is reciprocal. If a library in a neighboring community is decertified, the Board of Library Trustees has a policy: we will not provide services to residents of that community. That has come up with a situation with another town that's having their town meeting tonight, and we are hoping that it does not come to that. I've gotten a lot of questions and a lot of comments because that sounds mean, and it does. It's not fun. Librarians, library trustees never want to deny library services. However, I will point out to you, as an Abington taxpayer, you fund your library. Libraries have networks and borrow things. Why do you want to pay for library services if you are getting absolutely nothing in return? And if a town closes its public library, you will get nothing in return. So that's the reasoning for that. And I did want to mention it because I've gotten questions from several Abington residents who are concerned. And again, it's Abington. Everyone is concerned about their neighbors, and we're concerned about our neighbors to the south. And I hope that things work out there. But my job and the job of the Board of Library Trustees is to protect library services for you.
Thank
I
you.
think that's it.
Thank you, Deborah. And once again, thank you for your 40 years of service to our community.